Good morning, everyone. Today is another episode of Arks Trash. For those who are not familiar with Arks Trash, it is a podcast, so it will be audio only. So feel free to play the video, minimize it, and leave it somewhere at the side and just listen, because there won't be anything interesting happening video form, especially in today's video, mainly because I procrastinated a lot. I've been addicted to Neo 2. That game just came out on Steam like yesterday or 2 days ago, and I've been playing the crap out of it. And because of that, I haven't been doing my due diligence and actually editing videos like what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, in today's video, I didn't spend much time doing like the green screen and all that jazz. So just listen to the audio, alright? The actual episode of Arks Trash is great. Today's episode is with GM Custom, by the way. So it is super nice. We talk about Vtubers, we talk about PSO2, we talk about JP server versus global server. There are a lot of topics we talk about, and it's super duper interesting. Now there's one amendment that I need to make before the video starts, and that is I can't do math. I hope that is now common knowledge for those who watch my videos, but I call this episode 5 in the podcast, even though it's really episode 4. So please forgive me on that, and just pretend I said episode 4, okay? Anyway, if you're new to the channel, I upload PSO2 content daily, so if you do play this game, I'd really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, please enjoy the video. Welcome everyone to the 5th episode of Arks Trash. Today I have GM Custom over here. GM Custom, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I've been streaming PSO2 and Gundam Extreme Versus ever since 2012. Before 2020, you had to import those games to play them, so I really wanted to show those games off on Twitch and show people that, you know, there are people that are interested in the game, even though they're not released worldwide yet.
Okay, so you've been streaming since 2012, was it?
Yeah, that was like my first stream, but I wasn't really streaming that much at all. And then I started to stream a little bit more consistently in like 2013.
It seems like you stream quite a lot nowadays, don't you?
It's still really on and off. I'll stream like a lot for like a month or 2 or 3, and then I just won't like stream for a month or 2. And same thing with like playing PSO2. I'll play like a lot of PSO2, and then I'll like stop for a bit. It's different to do that in NA though, because how fast NA's PSO2 schedule is. But on JP, like when the updates were like, you know, it's like every 2 weeks you get like one little thing, you know, it didn't feel that bad to like get away from the game for a bit, you know.
While we're on that topic, why do you play the JP server now that the global server is out?
It's mostly because like I've kind of done everything already on JP, and I have so much like resources, you know, built up, so it's a lot easier to play. And you know, when I go on NA, I have to like get everything back again, you know what I mean? And just put, you know, put time in for the same thing I did. You know.
Fair enough.
But it's fun. It's still fun to play both. It's just that on JP, I think a lot of people will say like Luster is kind of like really fun right now, even though it's coming out on NA, or maybe it has come out already. I don't know.
Yes, by the time this recording comes out, it will have come out.
Okay. And also, I have friends that still play the JP version, and on top of that, it's also nice to experience like a different culture within the game too. I think that's actually really interesting as well.
So we're gonna jump straight into a spicy hot take immediately, because that's what my audience likes. So do you think the global server, do you think we are spoiled with all the free stuff we're getting, or do you think that it's okay?
I think that's perfectly fine. I think a lot of people have done like the comparison, and it's like more or less the same that what we got in JP in terms of like what they handed out. Obviously, it's also just accelerated, just like the content is in NA as well. So I think it's totally fine. I actually don't see an issue with it.
All right, so we're just gonna flow straight into spicy hot take number 2, and that is, do you follow any other content creators for PSO2, and what do you think about them?
Yeah. Obviously you.
And, wait. Is that just like as a polite thing, or do you actually follow my content?
No, I mean, don't we follow each other on Twitter, right? Yeah, totally.
I don't, I don't use my Twitter that much, but like I had to clean up my Twitter so much because the PSO2 people tagged me for the Arks hour, and I got a bunch of people following me. And I used to use my Twitter as in like, it was kind of like my H folder, trying to save up all the spicy, cultured content.
I feel you on that.
And
Totally.
suddenly with this influx of new people coming in, I didn't want everyone to think like, oh man, Carol, what is this? What is this cultural cesspool? So I had to clean that up really quick.
That's hilarious and awesome.
Oh my goodness. All right, anyway, you were saying, sorry.
I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, what do I think about them? I think it's really fun to talk about PSO2 with the other content creators, for sure.
So what do you find fun about PSO2? Is it like the min-maxing, the fashion, or what?
Honestly, it's like everything about PS2, and I think that's why the game is so awesome, is like there's so many things that you can go so in depth with, whether it is the fashion, or whether it's like just chilling in the lobby, or it's like the plethora of game modes. There's like endless emergency quests, and there's challenge mode, and there's all these different ways you can play. There's PvP, There's so many things you can do, and I think that's truly like the beauty of PSO2, and also all the classes.
Speaking about classes, what's your favorite class?
For me, it's Gunner for sure. I like the stylish action of the whole game in general, and Gunner is it just breathes stylish action, and the gameplay is really unique compared to the other classes too. It's not that I don't like the other classes; I have a lot of fun with the other classes, but Gunner is definitely an entirely different beast of its own, and I think it's really awesome and really fun.
All right. If a new player was coming into PSO2, what class would you recommend them to play? That would be like the easiest class to just get into and, learn the mechanics of the game, so forth and so on.
Probably Hunter tends to be the easiest pick. It has a lot of defensive tools to just keep you around and allows you to just fight without any like restrictions or without anything really getting in the way, I think. So I think Hunter generally ends up being the best pick. I don't know how it'll work in NGS, but like early on in the game it was like a really important subclass as well. Not so much anymore, but I think Hunter is usually a good place to start.
All right. And what do you think is the laziest class someone could play? That someone just wants to hold down a button. That's a funny question. What class would that be?
So wait, we're talking about like PSO2 or
yes? We're talking about PSO2. Let's say they've been playing like me. I've been playing the game for like 6 months, 8 months, and I want to find a class where I can hold down one button, go brrr, and kill everything.
The laziest class probably goes to Force or Force Étoile right now, perhaps. You're really just using a few spells, or you can really get away with using a few spells. I mean, I probably don't have to tell you that you could just spam Gizonde and probably clear the majority of the game, probably. And then with the Étoile sub, you don't really have to worry about taking too much damage either.
And you also get the PP reduction for spamming the same spell.
Wait, does it work? Does it work like that on Étoile sub? I'm not sure.
I think so, yeah. Because I've been testing Braver Étoile recently because I got pooped on Divide Quest, and I was like, wow, I suck at the game. So I was like, you know what? Instead of getting better,
Divide Quest does so much damage, so
yeah. But instead of trying to get better at the game, I was like, I'll just overcompensate with like ridiculous defense. And so I tried.
That's using your knowledge of the game, to make it work for you.
Exactly. So I just went in with a Étoile subclass, and I picked up a bow as well. Because there's so many bosses in Divide Quest that just like, oh, you're a melee class, you can't hit us. Have fun. And I was just like, I'm sick of this bull crap. So I picked up a bow, and so I just spam a master shot or whatever the shot is, and you get the PP reduction. So it does work.
Right. I thought it only worked for PA though. I think.
Right. Yeah, it might be. I'm not entirely sure if it works for techniques. It took me like 6 months into PSO2 before I realized what a PA and what a technique was, because I never played these type of MMOs. My previous MMO that I played was Blade and Soul, So Blade and Soul was like you
nice.
have your auto attacks and you've got skills, right? So whatever
Right.
consumes
Yeah.
whatever consumes like your mana bar is a skill. And
Right.
whatever doesn't consume it is an auto attack. So I was just like, all right, PAs, you know, they consume mana, so that's a skill. And I was like, techniques consume mana, that's a skill. And it's so I was talking to Black to Basics the other day. I think this was like a couple months back. He was trying to explain to me like the cherry blossom thing on Braver. He was like, yeah, you know, you should be using that. And he was explaining the different elemental weaknesses. And I was like, my katana is a light element. It should do elemental damage, right? And he was like, no, you're casting a PA. You're not casting a technique. I was like, what's the difference? It was very funny. But, you know, after 6 months, I finally learned that. So I was like, right. Speaking about that, do you have any funny moments in your history of PSO2 where it took you like ages to find out something that was like seems really basic?
I'm sure there is. I don't think they're off the top of my head, but there's always stuff like that, you know. Like there's so many things in PSO2. Everyone's always learning something new every day.
I'll give you a little secret since this episode hasn't been published yet, but Azalera actually played the game for several months before he realized what a perfect attack was. He didn't know about perfect attacks till much later. Yes.
That's crazy. Yeah. Usually I'm the one telling people about little things. I think one of the things that a lot of people didn't know is how tech arts can be like stored within your combo. Like, first of all, you don't have to actually perfect attack a tech arts, even though it's called like tech arts perfect attack bonus or tech arts just attack bonus. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't even have to actually JA to get that bonus, which is that's weird, right?
What is a JA?
Or just attack? Perfect attack?
Just so that my viewers understand, it's definitely not because I don't know what that means. Okay, please continue.
And then you can actually do normal attacks in between your photon arts and still retain the tech arts bonus. Mm-hmm. And I think with some skills or some weapons, you can like weapon action in between it too, as long as you like still keep your combo up. Mm-hmm. I would say players still don't know about that. Maybe, I don't know.
Do you think that would be in the realm of like min-maxing? Or do you think this is just more of a skill that people just acquire naturally after playing it for a while?
Maybe not necessarily min-max. It's just one of the little quirks of the system that it's not exactly explained correctly, or maybe it's explained incorrectly.
Understood.
There's a lot of stuff in PSO2 like that, unfortunately, but that's also why the game's kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I feel like it's because things aren't translated or aren't explained perfectly. It kind of gives us a lot of room to just kind of explore things and test things and find things out, yeah?
Yeah, that's definitely like a good thing and a bad thing.
All right, so what got you into PSO2?
So originally, I had first learned about the Phantasy Star series through Phantasy Star Online, and I played there was a demo on Dreamcast, and you could play the demo online too. And then I guess my brother and I were like so interested in it after playing the demo that, you know, we bought the game, and then we were playing on 56K through Dreamcast, and basically I was addicted to it then. And then afterwards I learned about the older games like Phantasy Star 2 and Phantasy Star 4, and I played those and I really loved those. Those are like some of my favorite RPGs. Phantasy Star 4 is super good. I highly recommend playing that if you haven't. And then, of course, the other online games like Phantasy Star Universe and Phantasy Star Portable or Phantasy Star Zero. You know, once those got announced, I was immediately like, okay, that's the game I'm waiting for. And of course, when PSO2 got announced in 2009, I was like, okay, when that comes out, like I'm just going to stop playing like everything else pretty much.
So could you explain to me, how does the Phantasy Star universe, how does it work chronologically? So you just said there's Phantasy Star 4, but we're playing Phantasy Star Online 2. So what does that mean?
Right. I think chronologically, or well, some storyline stuff in PSO2, if I'm not mistaken, it implies that like everything is within the same universe. Mm-hmm. I think something about the Akashic Records or something, right? Mm-hmm. It stores like the storyline spoilers. It stores like the history of the universe in this library, essentially, right? So when like episode 5 happened, characters like Alice, like the first Alice from Panic Star 1, and like Lutz are there. So in a way, it implies that, you know, that's all within the same universe. And then also, Phantasy Star is usually like everything is like within 1,000 years. Within 1,000 years, Dark Falls comes, you know, or like the previous game was like 1,000 years ago is when the last time Dark Falls came. So in a way, you can kind of imagine or guess that there's probably 1,000 years between all these games, probably.
Okay, so from the oldest Phantasy Star until Phantasy Star Online 2, how many years have passed from like the first one till wherever we're here?
I can't really say. I don't know if there's like actual like lore heads that know about that. Who knows? I might be totally wrong. I don't know. I know the old games are like related, but the relation to the old games and online games can be kind of sketchy. Other than the fact that whatever I just explained, you know, it could be.
Okay, fair enough. You know, I'm just curious because I have zero knowledge of Phantasy Star, right? Phantasy Star Online 2 just popped out of nowhere. My friends were just like, yo, there's this game coming out. And I was watching, I follow a YouTuber called Cryfu back in the day, but unfortunately he quit YouTube. But like, whenever he played Phantasy Star Online 2, I was like, bro, that game looks like fun.
Oh, wow.
You know?
That's interesting, because I know he did like a lot of MMO videos. Were you inspired to do MMO videos from him or something?
The reason why I got into Phantasy Star Online 2 was because I've seen him play a couple games. I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, so I was inspired by him, and that's why I checked it out, especially when the global server came out. Because when the JP one was out, I was just like, that's too much hassle, you know, kanji, all that jazz.
Definitely.
I was like, meh.
I feel you.
And then the global one was just like, oh, you know, it's coming out soon. And during that time, you know, Blade and Soul wasn't in a good place. You know, it was NCSoft is not exactly the best developer, and so or publisher, or well, I don't know, the whatever. But either way, it was really crappy.
I definitely saw Blade and Soul players kind of like jumping ship to PS2.
Yeah. So, you know, in the end, I jumped ship. I was just like, all right, goodbye, Blade and Soul. And then I jumped in headfirst into PSO2. No idea what I was doing. I was playing Braver. The only move I spammed was Morning Miss Reaver. And I was like, oh yeah, look, big numbers. Oh yeah, I'm doing damage. And then I realized that I wasn't actually doing anything, and I was pretty crappy. But, you know, I got good eventually. I learned my mistakes. And, yeah, then I started making videos because I was like, wow, no one makes any videos about PSO2, like on the global server. There was a lot of things that a lot of people were confused about. I was confused too. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make every mistake possible and learn from them and then share what I find. And it wasn't my intention to make every possible mistake. It just happened. And I was just like, well, I made all these mistakes already, you know, might as well make a video about it. And,
yeah, it's just like the steps that like all the PSO2 players go through, I think, right? There's definitely a lot of things that everyone experiences.
It's funny because before I jumped into PSO2, I watched two people's starter videos. I watched Azalera's like beginner's guide, and then I watched Anamana's beginner's guide. And they both said like near like the 2-minute mark, they're like, do not mess up your mag, do not mess up your skill tree. And the first thing I did, messed up both of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
it's funny because like that scares people, but honestly, it's like it's kind of an easy thing to fix too, you know. So,
yeah,
because I've seen some people be like, "Oh, I heard it's like, you know, you could mess up your build and stuff." It's like, well, it's you can, but I mean, it shouldn't be something that scares people. But unfortunately, there's so many things in PSO2 that, you know, people see all these different things. It's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, like a lot of its systems is a little bit old school. Which is, it scares a lot of people when you have got to navigate through like 5 menus to like salvage an item, or like 7 menus to craft an item, and people are like, why are there so many menus?
Unfortunately for newer players, it's hard.
What keeps you playing PSO2 other than the community or your alliance?
Definitely the gameplay. I'm not too much of like a fashion player or really too worried too much about making mistakes or marketing. Obviously, that stuff's really important. I'm not meaning about the fashion either. Your character has to look good, obviously, right? But the gameplay is definitely what keeps me coming because it's just so good. Like there's so much freedom in the system, and a lot of it is up to you as the player, you know? Like gear can help you out, but like, you know, how you play the game is like it's really fun. It's really, really, really fun. Or if you watch different people play the same class, like people will play or do things differently, and it's always so interesting, you know, in terms of like what you can do and how much freedom they give you in the system.
Could you give me an example for that?
Sure. There's at least like 3 fighter players that I know on the Japanese server, and so one of them really likes Double Saber and they play Fighter Hunter, and then another one really likes Knuckles, so they play Fighter Etoile and only use Knuckles. So even though they play the same class, like they can still use different weapons and play the game almost entirely like differently based off the weapon they use. And I guess the same thing with Braver as well. There's like Katana Braver, and then there's now really strong Bow Braver builds as well. There's just a lot of stuff you can do now.
Yeah, for sure. The game is very, very flexible, especially since every class can use multiple weapons. I feel like that's really unique.
Definitely. I think that'll be really cool in NGS too. I really like how they kind of pushed that.
Have you seen the weapon swap, like the on the fly and like merging weapons together in your PA bar and everything? Like
that is definitely the most interesting thing in NGS. I think it'll be really interesting to see how the different like weapon actions interact with like other weapons, you know what I mean? Like if I have a twin machine gun and then I'm doing like a twin machine gun move and then I use like a wand guard during a move, like it's really interesting to think about how some of those will work. Or if I can S roll out of like another like a sword photon art.
Yeah, for sure. I can see some really crazy combos being created on the fly. So I haven't asked you this question, but what is your most memorable moment in PSO2 since you've been playing for what, like 8 years?
Probably the one thing that always like comes first is when I got an Eternal Psycho Drive on the Japanese server on Ship 2. That was when 14 stars were like really, really rare. And that was also like the best rod in the game. And I got it on stream as well. So, and I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, like you can hear me like get off my chair and just like shout in like the background. You know what I mean? And I didn't know this, but people were telling me just recently that it was the first Eternal Psycho Drive on Ship 2. At least that's what people tell me.
So back then, were you already like wait, I'm jumping the gun here. First of all, do you consider yourself a VTuber?
No, I actually do not. It's because I don't have my own character. So for that reason, I can't really consider myself a VTuber. You know what I mean?
Have you ever considered making your own character or commissioning your own character?
I do consider it, but I can't get the, you know, the idea and formula down yet. When it comes to like what I want, you know what I mean? I can't picture that yet. Like I can't picture exactly what I want, so I don't want to like make something or create a character that I'm not fully comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you a simple question. Do you want to be a anime girl, kawaii magical girl, or do you want to be a guy?
It will definitely be male, but I definitely also was thinking about sort of an androgynous look in terms of like
we got to step back a bit. What does that big word mean? What does that mean?
Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should just keep it. I should say male character and just leave it at that.
But on a serious note, what does that word actually mean? Does that mean like genderless? Is that what it means or something?
You know, I don't even know. I guess you just look like either a boy or a girl.
Oh, like Hideyoshi? Is it like Hideyoshi from Baka Test?
Yeah. I can't believe I know which character you're talking about.
All right, so it's like we don't know if that's a male or a female, but it's a character.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Why would you hesitate on that?
I think it's just the overall design. You know how there just has to be like a banger design. Like, you know, there's like Korone, she's you know, dog, or Gura, you know, she's a shark. You know, like those are simple and like really good characters.
But I mean, you've
So I
got human characters as well. You've got like Amelia Watson. You know, she's just a detective. You know, it's a human detective. Toxic gamer.
Yeah. Those are great designs, and I can't think of a character that I've been fully like satisfied, or a character design that could be like, okay, that's the one. You know what I mean? So I think once I like feel that way, then I'll go through with it.
Like I was talking to Azalera because the podcast before this one was Azalera's episode. That was episode 4, and he was showing me that he had his like VTuber rig, and like, you know, he had everything set up. He just didn't use it, and like he's banned the word VTuber like on his chat or something, and he's just like, oh, stop asking me about this, blah blah blah. But he has everything set up. I'm just like, just use it. What? You spent the time to rig this thing, why not? But you know, just how he is. He's just like, nope.
Yeah, sometimes with, you know, you'll have like stuff ready. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like VTuber things, but like if you're just not feeling it, you know, then you can't do it sincerely or wholeheartedly, you know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So since you don't consider yourself a VTuber yet, how much time and work did you have to put to like get your rig and get everything set up though? Like you have some models already, right? Like I occasionally tune into your stream. You've got like all these different models that you pop in.
Those are all on the Steam Workshop because you can get Face Rig on Steam. You still can right now, actually. And people just put models up on the workshop, and you can just download them and just use them there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't make any of them. I either use the default ones or the ones I've gotten from the Steam Workshop.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I have Face Rig as well. I just never really spent time doing it because everyone's seen my face, so it's kind of just like, well, it's kind of pointless, you know, kind of defeats the point to me at least. I'm just like, well, everyone knows what I look like, so there's no sense of mystery there.
It's still fun though to mess around with it. Like there's some fun characters, like Captain Falcon's a really funny one, and other Nintendo characters, I guess. There's like Kirby and some Pokemon characters. There's like Love Life characters. Just familiar characters that, you know, people will be happy to see, I think, and it makes it really fun.
Yeah, I made one video. I don't know if I was talking about patch notes or talking about something, but I was really drunk, and so I used Face Rig, and I saw there was an Aqua, like from Konosuba. I was just like, I'll just use her.
I know which one you're talking.
And then, so the thing was, I was so intoxicated that the tracking device couldn't track my eyes properly. So one eye was just like fluttering like crazy, spazzing out, while the other eye was fine. And people were just like, you okay, Caro? What happened to you? Yeah, it was a great video. I think it's still on my channel. I just don't remember what the title is.
That's definitely one of the things that took some time and just a lot of use out of the program, is like just getting the face tracking settings correct for your own face. That definitely was a lot of trial and error throughout years, actually.
So is that all you use? You just use the Face Rig? You don't use any other software like your iPhone or whatever, stuff like that?
Yes. Only Face Rig and Logitech C920 webcam.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's pretty low budget then. You know, that doesn't cost that much. Yeah. Wow. For the result you get, that's pretty damn good.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. So we're going to be moving on here. We've talked a little bit too much about VTubers, but what do you think is the reason that PSO2 is having a hard time getting new players to try it out? And we're just talking about vanilla PSO2, not New Genesis.
Definitely the elephant in the room is, like, you know, with NGS around the corner, people kind of don't want to grind and make that seem worthless, you know, right when NGS comes out. That's kind of an obvious one. Another one is that, and we talked about it earlier, is that there's so many things in the game. I mean, the game has technically been out for 8 years, and they've updated the game every 2 weeks for 8 years. So there's just so much stuff in the game that newer players would be, you know, or newer players get confused right off the bat, you know, like undoubtedly newer players will be like, what do I do in this game, you know? And that's like a really big problem, I think. And it really shows like how convoluted things are. You know, for the first time when I was watching Cryfu play PSO2, I didn't understand how the game worked,
because all he did was sit in the lobby and he wouldn't go out to an expedition. So I was like, is this it? Is this the MMO? We sit in the lobby and we talk? Is wow, groundbreaking.
See, that's not wrong, right? He's like, that's not incorrect, right?
Yeah.
But and even then, from your perspective, it'd be like you're questioning it, right? You're like, what's going on, right?
Yep, exactly. And I was just like, where's the gameplay? What is this game? What do we do? I don't understand. And I still get comments like this on my in some of my videos, because a lot of my videos are like breaking down, augmenting, it's like information, right, for people who already have started the game. Yeah. And so there's a lot of newer players that come in and they're like, Caro, can you show me some gameplay? Like, what are you doing? I just see you in the shopping mall all the time. I see you in your personal quarters all the time. Can you like go and kill stuff? I was just like, yeah, right.
I like to joke about that too. Whenever I'm streaming and I'm like affixing a lot, I'll be like, okay guys, I'll play the game soon. Like, don't worry,
Yep, happens all the time. All right, so building up on what you just mentioned, if you can improve anything or change anything in PSO2 vanilla, what would it be and why?
I think one of the main things is like, let's say you go to the quest counter and you see like all these quests. I think if they streamline that and somehow streamline like the client orders as well, even more, that would let newer players, I think, get around the game a lot easier. And I think the EQ system, I don't know what they need to do with the EQ system, but they need to do something, because it's a urgent quest system. The urgent quest system is a huge part of the game, obviously. And let's say with True Profound Darkness coming out, or maybe it already is out, I don't know. We don't know if we're going to have triggers for that, like for badges or not. Maybe it'll be start time only, who knows. But the fact of the matter is that you have to do that EQ for like the best weapon and stuff. So your schedule on when you play the game is based off of the emergency mission schedule or the urgent mission schedule. So I think that really kind of dictates when people play. So it would be nice if they just did something about that. Obviously, a lot of these like answers or a lot of these things are much more streamlined in NGS. So I feel like they just want to leave normal PS2 alone. Another thing, I think with NGS being available, I think with old PSO2, it would be fun if they released like older areas from older games. Just like if they put like a PSU area in the game, or like PSO fields, with PSU enemies or PSO1 enemies. I think that will definitely get a lot of people interested, whether it's legacy players or people that are just playing PSO2. When you see some new content in the game, it's like it's inevitable that you're going to check it out, right?
Well, I mean, you've been playing PSO2 on the JP servers for quite some time. Do you remember when there was the Final Fantasy collab where Odin would just pop out of nowhere and stuff like that?
Yeah, that was really cool. Sometimes he can still do that, I think, right? Like he can still appear in like a free field.
I don't know. I've never played the JP servers. I'm just based off the knowledge I've heard from other players.
But yeah, that was really cool.
Okay, that's gotcha. Is there any other bosses like that? Like any other collabs where it's just like Monster Hunter, random monster comes out, Behemoth or whatever? Is there stuff like that? Or
there was a Monster Hunter boss, but it was kind of like a timed event. It was only available for like, I don't know, the year that they released it.
So let's move on to more exciting, bright news, and let's talk about New Genesis. What are you most excited about for New Genesis?
Oh boy, that's a big question. Everything?
Here you go, bombshell, boom.
Everything. I'm excited for everything. I think one of the big things is like the exploration, obviously. PSO2, the original PSO2, definitely has like the hallway syndrome kind of thing. You just like run down the hallway and complete the quest kind of thing, So it's nice to see NGS having the exploration back into the mix. Also, we talked about earlier the subclassing system, how you can combine weapons. I think that pushes the subclass system to somewhere where people wanted it to be. I think when people think of subclass in PSO2, initially, like if you're a newer player, you're thinking about like multiple weapons that you want to use, but the game doesn't actually turn out like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really awesome. It will give people, what they wanted for a long time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they implemented in a really cool way how you can have like multiple weapon things, or basically multiple attacks from different weapons on the same palette. I think it's really cool. But yeah, I think overall, probably just the gameplay and the exploration in NGS feels a lot more like free. You have a lot more freedom in terms of like how you feel about like running around in the game, Because the original PS2 is like you're in the lobby and then you're in the quest and then you're just back in the lobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Have you played Monster Hunter though? Have you ever played that game before or no?
Only a little bit.
Okay. Like I get some really strong Monster Hunter vibes from New Genesis. It's like you've got your hub area, but then like everywhere is just like open field, explore, do what you want. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think that's super important in terms of like immersing yourself in the environment and I guess the lore too.
Speaking about environment and lore, have you played a Genshin Impact before?
I have not played it, and I have some people telling me to play it, but I'm really scared because it's a gacha game, and I'm scared of gacha games.
You're scared of gacha games? You've never played a gacha game before, or?
I have. So the story is like, I didn't really like gacha games, and then I played one, and now I don't like them even more.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, I played one, and I went bankrupt and homeless.
The one I played was Final Fantasy Record Keeper. It's like a traditional Final Fantasy game, but with like all the characters, and it's like 2D, so it's like has all the sprites and stuff. It's like kind of like old school gameplay. It's really fun. And the gacha is actually really generous as well. It's like one of those ones where it's like if you do a 10 roll or an 11 roll, like one is guaranteed to be like rare, So it's like super generous kind of gacha game, and it makes it a lot easier to play free to play as well. But even after playing that for like maybe 2 years, I kind of got familiar with like the just the way gacha games operate throughout like years with their update schedule and stuff like that. I think PSO2 ES, which is like the mobile version of PSO2 that uses your PSO2 game data, that also kind of gave me, I was also playing that as well. And that gave me clues about like how gacha games kind of operate. And after experiencing that for a few years, I really don't want to get caught in like the whole
downward spiral to degeneracy. That's what I call it.
I just hated it logging on to do dailies. Even in PSO2, it's like if I don't want to do my dailies, or if I feel lazy about it, like I'm not gonna do it. I don't really like when a game is like dictating, when and how I want to play. It doesn't feel good in the end.
Gotcha. So the thing about Genshin, so just for the audience as well as the point that I wanted to make, is that Genshin Impact has a really great exploration field. They spent a lot of time making the world feel real and feel, really enjoyable to explore, and they nailed the music as well. The music's really good. And so as a regular gamer, we have our priorities. It's like, okay, I have a quest from point A to point B, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ignore everything and get there, right? Because efficiency. And the thing about Genshin is it's so good at distracting you. Like you're going towards point B and you're like, oh look, there's a treasure chest there. Oh look, there's a mob over there. Oh look, there's a boss over there. Oh look, there's a mountain. Let's climb it. And there's like a bunch of crap just like thrown in. And I feel like PSO2 New Genesis, like from what we've seen, it's something similar like that, It's like, all right, we've got a mission to kill 10 mobs over here. But when you're going there, boom, emergency mission, boom, infiltration, boom, something comes up. And there's always stuff to distract you. And so you intend to play the game for like an hour. And then the next thing you know, it's like midnight and you're like, oh, I have work tomorrow. Crap, I
feel like that's what, when they first announced PSO2 and they were like, oh, random like code system, like anything can happen on the field. I feel like that's what I initially imagined it would be. So I feel like NGS is like, oh, okay, that's what they really wanted to do, you know? Does that even answer your question? I don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's fine, sort of. I just wanted to state my side, saying that, you know, it was it's about the exploration, it's about the feel, right? When you're playing New Genesis, like the feeling that I'm hoping that I get is I log on without a purpose. Like, you know, I log on, maybe there's a couple dailies,
I agree.
but you know, I don't have to do it. I just log in because I want to log in, and then I just kind of wander around, and just naturally things just come, and I'm just like, oh, you know, let's do this, let's do that, you know. That's what I like about PSO2. There's nothing locking you in, saying that, oh, you gotta min-max, you gotta farm this until you want to die, blah, 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 you know? So, yeah, that was really just the point that I wanted to make for New Genesis, that I'm hoping that happens, you know?
I totally agree. I think the exploration part is really important, because that's how you immerse yourself in the game, you know? If it's not like that, then like it will just feel like you're doing the point A to point B thing.
Yeah.
And then you're just running the NPCs to turn client orders, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure there's still going to be some of that, but...
Like, that's what I'm excited for, actually, is because for the first time ever, the global players as well as the JP players, we're all going to be on like an even playing field. Right now, it's always been, oh, Primordial Darkness is coming out. Let me check JP videos and guides. Okay, I know how to beat it now. Okay, we're good. You know, there's no sense of like, you're sitting there and you're like, oh wow, this urgent quest took us like 30 minutes to kill this guy. I wonder what we're doing wrong. I like that sense of like, let's figure shit out together. I kind of enjoy that process.
That's definitely like some of the best times to play games, or you know, when games come out, like that's usually the best time to play games, because like everyone's fresh and everyone's like figuring everything out, and I think that's definitely one of the most fun times.
Exactly. Like a good example would be when League of Legends first came out. I'm talking about like season 1 League of Legends back in like 2000 or whatever.
I played beta and stuff. I remember the Winter's Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and then like back then it was 80 carries mid. I used to play Ashe mid, and I would get to level 6.
I remember that.
And then just shoot arrows, you know, to bot lane, to top lane, and it was just it was a huge mess, you know. We didn't have a jungler. It was 2-1-2. It was easy. We just did whatever. And you know, like those days were the best memories I've had of League of Legends. And then when it came to like Overwatch, like the first 2-3 months when the game first came out, that was like the best time I ever had as well, because like there was no meta, nobody knew what they were doing. It was just like, this character looks cool, I'm gonna play this character, I don't care what you think. And we're just, you know, we're just all running around like headless monkeys, but we're having a great time.
Definitely the discovery part or life cycle of a game, something like that.
yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you, which is why like the PSO2 experience, especially on global, has always been super cool, because we literally got 8 years of content in like a year. Everything was just fast paced, fresh, boom, boom, boom. And so we never had time to like just be like, oh, I'm bored, I got nothing else to farm. It was just like, no, there's always something to farm for. Oh, there's always something to do. It's great, you know, I love that feeling. But I'm a little bit worried that when we jump into New Genesis, that the pacing won't keep up. Because, you know, we're used to being like a big update every 2 weeks, and when we jump into New Genesis, we're gonna get that experience like what you guys had on the JP server, where it was like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, 4 months no update or no big update, it's just, that's normal. They're just like, wait a second, no.
On the other hand, it might be more acceptable with NGS because of how like free roam and exploration heavy it is. So we'll see how it turns out. And then I think that's also where like old PSO2 comes in, you know, where it's like, oh, I'm kind of, if for some reason you're tired of NGS or something, it's like, well, you can always go back to regular PSO2 and hopefully they update that.
True. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up what I have, all the questions that I had for you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add or you'd like to ask or talk about on the podcast?
Not off the top of my head. Maybe I speak for everyone. I want to play NGS.
I think you speak for everyone. I think everyone is very excited for NGS.
It
But
looks so good. It looks so good. Oh
it
my god.
does. It does. I just hope that it lives up to the hype and that we don't overhype it and get super disappointed because we have stupid expectations. You know, like a certain certain game from Project CD Red. Oh man, what a letdown that game was. But then again, the expectations for that game was ridiculous. It was like, this game's going to cure cancer. It's like, wait a second.
I don't think
Sorry,
NGS will have any issues though.
Okay. Yeah. I think NGS will be fine as well. Like, they're keeping things in expectation. You know, they're tempering our expectations by giving us, like, you know, here's a live stream of this, here's a leak of this, screenshots, you know, and what do you call those, Twitter posts and stuff like that. So I think they're doing a good job in like managing our expectations. So I'm going to be closing the podcast now, but before I do that, GM Custom, do you have anything that you'd like to say to the viewers, maybe on where they can find you, your social, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm usually around Twitch, so you can find me on twitch.tv/GMCustom. I like to use Twitter a lot as well, so you can check me out there. Twitter, GMCustom00.
What about YouTube, or not really?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube as well. Same as my Twitter, GMCustom00. Instagram as well, GMCustom00.
Plug in everything, man. The kitchen sink. Let's go.
Everything is like linked, so like if you see one, or if you go to one of those, you'll find my other stuff.
All right, don't worry, guys. If you guys are audio only, there will be links in the description below, so you can just pop in there, and all of his socials will be there, so you can just click in case you know, you are driving a car or something. Please be safe if you are driving a car while listening to this. But yeah, that'll be it for us today on Arks Trash episode 5. So thanks for coming, GM Custom.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun.
And that concludes Arks Trash episode 4. It was a little bit longer than usual, but to be honest, I had a ton of fun with GM Custom talking about VTubers, mobile games, gacha games, waifus, all of that jazz. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast as much as I did creating it. Anyway, that's it for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the heat?